Ms. Salehi, during your time as acting IG at Exim, the IG office conducted an evaluation of Exim's policies and procedures to ensure the bank does not crowd out the private sector and only supports transactions where Exim financing is necessary. This, I believe, is known as Exim's additionality policy. Exim was found to have insufficient record keeping in some respects, which increased the risk that the bank might not consider all relevant information about replacing private capital when it approved transactions. In May of 2020, the board of directors strengthened its policies to protect against crowding out private sector capital. It's yet to be seen if the new policies are being properly observed. Will you commit to conduct another evaluation to determine if Exim is in fact complying with its updated policies and procedures that are designed to prevent crowding out of private sector capital? And also, will you commit to reviewing the updated policies themselves to ensure that they actually are achieving Exim's statutory mandate not to replace private capital?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. If confirmed as the IG for the Export-Import Bank of the United States, it would be my job to be looking at policies and procedures of the bank and reporting them to you and to the head of agency and the American public in a transparent fashion. Of course, I know that this issue of additionality is one that is very important to you, and I would be happy to meet with you and your staff to understand your concerns better and take those concerns to my staff and consult with my staff as we set about our work and do our risk analysis of our priorities.
You would acknowledge that it would fall under your purview to determine if these policies are being properly implemented?
Yes.
Okay. In September of 2019, Exim approved the second largest loan in its history. It was a $4.7 billion loan project for an LNG development in Mozambique. Unfortunately, in that same year, we learned of deep corruption in the government of Mozambique that extended all the way to the former finance minister, who had been arrested in a $2 billion fraud and money laundering scheme that directly hurt U.S. investors. Now, to be clear, Mr. Chang was out of office by the time Exim agreed to the LNG deal. But I just think that the Chang affair revealed deep and pervasive corruption within the government of Mozambique, and I worry about whether Exim is taking adequate steps to ensure that its financing deals are not subject to some kind of corruption. Can you commit to doing everything that you can to ensure that Exim does not unwittingly enrich corrupt officials, particularly in countries with long histories of corruption?
Thank you, Senator. Rooting out bad actors and investigating fraud, waste, and abuse is the core of every OIG mission, and I commit to doing just that if confirmed.
Thank you. Mr. Toomey, if confirmed, one of your responsibilities will be to investigate mortgage fraud that affects Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. In the lead up to the 2008 financial crisis, the GSEs got into the business of acquiring so-called no-doc and low-doc loans where the borrower simply attested to his or her eligibility without any independent verification. Well, predictably, some borrowers lied about their income and other key factors considered in the underwriting, and predictably, many of those borrowers eventually defaulted, resulting in significant losses at the GSEs that were then borne by the taxpayers. Unfortunately, our Democratic colleagues are pursuing this reckless tax and spending bill that will return the GSEs to the pre-crisis practice of relying on unverified borrower attestations. It's inevitable in my mind that some borrowers, once again, will misrepresent their circumstances in order to get, for instance, down payment assistance. If you're confirmed, Mr. Toomey, and if this bill becomes law, will you commit to vigorous investigations of borrowers who knowingly lie about their eligibility for down payment assistance on GSE-acquired loans?
Thank you, Ranking Member Toomey, for the question. Yes, if confirmed, I believe one of the key roles of Office of Inspector General is to engage in robust enforcement efforts. And this would certainly be an area that, should that law pass, I believe would come under our purview. And like we have seen with a lot of the stimulus investigations going on, we will continue to engage in robust enforcement efforts.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I would just point out, if past practices by some at the Department of Justice and some at the CFPB are any indication, if I were a lender and a borrower lied on his application and I extended credit in part because of the lie, or I should say relying on the lie, I'd be worried that I'd be the one that'd be subject to investigation and made to face the consequences. But I appreciate your answer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Toomey. Senator Menendez from New Jersey is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Toomey, I was pleased to